Today's question is, how the heck did you switch Spyro and Cynder's colors? Well, the short answer is, like this. The long answer is, well, I'll show you. Before we begin, it's important to note that I'm not a professional. I've taken a couple of classes, so I'm at that awful point where I know enough that it confuses some beginners, but the real pros laugh at me. So whatever end of the spectrum you're at, I apologize in advance, but hopefully you can get something useful out of this video. Here's the fun part where I show you how I actually switch their colors. I've already inserted everything I need into the project here. I've got a picture of Cynder, a picture of Spyro, and our logo and words that go with the logo. Now, I'm using Photoshop here, but this can be done in any photo editing program, so I'm just going to describe kind of the process you need to take regardless of which program you use. So the first thing I want to show you is what's called layers. You'll notice all of these elements are stacked up here, over here on the right hand side of the screen. And what layers allow you to do is edit things one at a time. Whatever layer you have selected is the layer that you're going to edit. So here I have Spyro selected, and if I use this move tool here, I'm just moving him around and not Cynder. And you'll also notice that the layers closer to the bottom get covered up by layers closer to the top. You'll notice that Cynder is being partially covered by Spyro here. This black box around Spyro is covering up the Cynder image. So the question is, well, how do you free him up so that it looks nice? Well, that's where another element comes in called masks. Now, how you apply a mask is different in every photo editing program, but I'm sure if you Google it, you can find out. In Photoshop, it's this little button down here, and it makes this little white square next to your layer. I think in some programs, they automatically add masks, so if there's one already there, then you don't have to worry. But right now, you'll notice this mask is white. And when I select it and grab my paintbrush tool, and if I paint black on it, you'll notice something interesting happen, especially if I hide Cynder here. It actually deletes part of the image, but it's not really deleting it so much as it is hiding it, because if I change my paintbrush back to white, you'll notice it brings it back. This is really great in photo editing because it allows you to go back as far as you want to and restore your original image if you have to without worrying about losing it. Whereas if you used a eraser tool, you would just delete the image permanently and there'd be no way to recover it. Because especially if you save the program and close it, then you can't press undo anymore when you open it up again. So it's a really great tool you can use to hide parts of the image. So when I bring Cynder back here, I'm slowly uncovering what I want to see. Now, I've already done this in advance, so I'm just gonna hurry and steal the mask profiles here and just apply them so that it goes faster here. You'll also probably notice that the way I've cut them out is very, very rough. But in my defense, I did this with a mouse years ago. It was before I had a tablet. So, yeah, it's the best I can do. But you'll notice in this case, because both of their backgrounds are black, when I add a black background on the very bottom, it just makes everything look nice. So that's a good advantage, is if you're trying to composite pictures together and they have the same color background, it's really easy. But if their background wasn't the same color, I would have just gone in here, you know, much closer. You just zoom in really far, make sure you have the right color tool selected, make sure you're on your mask, and you can get in closer and closer and closer and refine your mask so it really just cuts them out from the background. And I have done that before. There are some tools that will try to do this for you. Like in Photoshop, it's called the Magic Wand tool. But it only works so well. And even if it does an okay job cutting them out, like, see here, it's not really selecting Spyro very well. So I would have to cut them out manually anyway. But sometimes if the image is one color and has really nice edges, it'll catch it nicely and delete it mostly, but you still probably want to go in with your brush and touch it up manually. So anyway, moving on to the next part, which is the fun part, which is actually changing their colors. Now, what I've seen a lot of people do is they'll say, okay, time to make Spyro black here, so let's add a layer. Or sometimes they won't even add a layer, they'll just go onto Spyro here, grab the brush tool, pick black, and say, okay, let's make Spyro black. Yeah, look at me go, yeah! You'll probably notice a problem with this fairly quickly. It's covering up all of the original detail of the image. I mean, there's all these bumps and ridges and shading on Spyro that's just being deleted, for lack of a better description, because I'm just painting over the top of it. You know, and even if you're very careful with where you paint, it's just going to look like a two-dimensional black splotch has spilled all over Spyro, and that's not going to give you the effect you want. So let's undo a couple times, and I'll show you how to shift the color without killing it. What I'm going to want to do is go here. There we go. What I want to do is add what's called an adjustment layer. Adjustment layers are what they sound like they are. They make it so you can adjust various things about the image. One of my favorites that I use a lot is called hue saturation, and I'll show you what that does. Now you'll notice when I added the hue saturation layer, it already has a mask, so that's going to come in handy later. I'm sure you can already kind of put it together in your head how that's going to work, but let's say we want to make Cynder purple. So as I start to make adjustments here, you'll notice it starts to shift everything about the image. Hue obviously shifts the colors, saturation shifts how intense the colors are, and lightness affects how dark or light everything is. So I can try to explain to you how best to use these, but really if you just play around with them, you'll get the hang of it really quickly. Set these back to 0 real quick. So I'm going to play around with the hue tool until Cynder looks kind of purpley. Yeah. It's not really that difficult because she's already kind of purplish from Dawn of the Dragon, which a lot of people got mad at, me included, which is why I made her more black, but that's a story for another day. So you'll notice now Cynder's skin looks more purple, but of course it's made Spyro look all funky and, you know, screwed up the rest of the image in ways we don't want. So to fix that, we use the mask again, just like we used the mask earlier to cut out Spyro and Cynder's outlines roughly. We're going to use the mask again, except this time it's to show or hide where the effect is. So right now the mask is white, so everywhere it's white, it's showing the effect, which is everywhere in the image. So what you want to do is you want the mask to only be white where Cynder's skin is. So a simple way to do that, well, it's 6 is half a dozen sometimes, but what I like to do is use a fill tool, and I can make sure you have the mask selected, and you fill the mask black. And now the effect has been completely covered up. And so if I take my paintbrush and I make sure it's white, now I can go in here and start to change Cynder's skin color. Yeah. And now you'll notice that I'm changing the color of her skin, and it's not covering up the original detail, because all we've done is shift the color, you know, rather than cover it up. I know it's kind of subtle. I hope the video detection software picks it up alright, but that's pretty much how it works. So I'm doing this kind of sloppy because I'm just trying to show you basically how it works, but yeah, I think you get the idea. Anyway, that's pretty much how the process works. I'm going to reopen up my done files over here. So here, cover up the sample ones down here. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this hue saturation. And as you can see, I already have all these layers here that I've done before, and all of them are just color shifts with masks. So with Cynder here, first thing I did was make her wings yellow. With the same method, I just shifted all the colors. And then if you look at the mask carefully, I don't know if it's going to show up that well in the video, but you can see that the whole mask is black except where Cynder's wings are. And then her jewelry. Let me zoom in a little bit here. Okay. Her belly, wings, horns, and stuff. And her skin, finally. And her eyes at the same time, because Spyro's eyes and skin are both purple, so I just kept it that way. And then same again with Spyro. Got his skin, made it black. Made his eyes green, horns white, belly red, wings pink, and wings black. So, I mean, there's more things you can do. Like, if you'll notice, with the black wings, I played around with, and shaded his belly a little bit so it looked a little more natural. So you can toy around with it. But pretty much that's how the whole process works. It is kind of tedious because you have to go in there and paint manually, but if you were drawing something from scratch or painting the old-fashioned way where you just plaster color over the top, you would have had to do that anyway. So, but by shifting it, you can control exactly what color you want without ruining the original image. And I can even go in later, for example, and go to Spyro here and shift the color. Okay, that's a little funky. Yeah, bad example. Undo. Go to his eyes, maybe. Your eyes gonna be more friendly, buddy. Well, you get the idea. You can go in and reshift colors later if you have to. And I think that's about it. Sorry if I took a little long there, but hopefully you've gained something from this video and it's been helpful. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about this video, or if you'd like to suggest a topic for a future video, drop us a line at ask@spyrocynder.com.